Yo, what's up everyone? It's Little Yaha. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make 15 different types of organic fertilizers at home from kitchen scraps. Simple and easy, step by step. I'm going to be going over the whole process. Once you know, you'll be like me. Anytime you see anybody throwing anything away, you'll be like, no. Bring that back. My plan's been eyeballing it. I'm not gonna get too specific on the benefits of everything, maybe just the NPK value and a couple other things, just because I don't want this video being longer than it already is gonna be. Today I'm just gonna show you how to make it. Aside from it being basically free, this is literally gold for your plants. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna start off with is a bone meal. This might actually be the best of the best, and I'm gonna be showing you the finishing look before I tell you how to make it, because I want you to see how beautiful it is, just so you can know what to expect. And if you don't like the result, you can be like, F this video on dip. I'm gonna pour it into a cap just so you can get a closer look at it, and if you look closer you can see small fragments of bone. That's just my blender, you know, it's been through a lot, so I don't blame it. But honestly, it kind of looks like protein powder. It's nice and smooth. It's basically perfection. It's really easy to make. First, you're gonna grab your bones. It don't matter if it's got meat and everything still on there. We're gonna get rid of all that. Get all the bones and put them in a pot of boiling water, and this is not only gonna help clean them out, but it's also gonna help get rid of all the chicken and soften the bone so it can be easier to grind. After about 5 hours of non-stop boiling, it should be very easy to cut. If it's not, check up on it every hour and consistently try to cut it. It should feel like you're cutting through Play-Doh. The bone shouldn't crack, and you also shouldn't struggle. It should feel like butter. Next, you're gonna clean all the bones, and it should be very easy to clean. Everything should just slide right off, and once you're done with all the bones, they should be sparkly clean. You should see your face on it. Put your bones in the oven at 350 degrees for about 6 hours. Once they're done, you should be able to tell the difference. They should look a little brown, dry, and toasted. This time it should be extremely easy to cut. When you cut into it, it'll turn into a powder, and a lot of you haters will be very familiar with this because every time you guys crumble up your flour, it's nice and dry just like this bone. Get your bones, put them in a blender, mix it, and you'll have your nice, flawless, smooth powder. Sheesh. This was so easy, and I just love how perfect it comes out looking. If you don't got bones like that, you could get these big bones. They're big boys, so they will produce a lot of bone meal. This is gonna be the same process. Put them in boiling water for 5-10 hours. I did 24, but honestly, these bones heavy duty. They ain't never gonna get soft. Clean them, put them in the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Grab a spoon, tap on them, and they should fall apart. They won't be soft, but they will break more easily. I wasn't trying to play with my blender like that, so what I did was I grabbed a box, put a brick inside it, and I smashed the bones with a hammer. Continue doing this until it turns into a fine powder. To finish it off, I threw it in the blender, and the results will all depend on how much work you actually put into this. Overall, mine came out nice, smooth, and powdery. You can see chunks here and there, but honestly, I wasn't even tripping because I had more than enough bone meal by now, so I was fine with it. Numero dos. Shrimp shells. These look nice because you can see all the little shells from the shrimp, and honestly, this one's a little harder to get. You won't get a lot of it, but it is easier to make. It's also high in nitrogen, phosphorus, and contains calcium, so instead of throwing it away, you might as well give your plants a power boost with this. These are all my shrimps, nice and peeled. On the side, I got my shrimp shells. They're ready to go. Put them in the oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours, or you can even speed up the process by putting it at 350, but you will have to check up on it more frequently, at least every 15 to 20 minutes. Once all the moisture is gone and they're hard and crunchy and you're able to crumble them apart just by using your hands, they're ready. It'll also develop an orange color. My dog came by trying to charge some shrimp tax, and by the way, all of this stuff you can store for a long time if you put it in a mason jar and store it in a nice, dark, cool area. Put it in a blender, mix it, and honestly, the results always amaze me. It's just so crazy how you can make your own organic fertilizer at home from kitchen scraps. Just look at how perfect it is. You can probably grind it a little bit better, but you don't have to. It's not really necessary. Number 3 is seaweed. NPK is 1.9, 0.25, 3.6, and this is just an average base or a guideline you can use. I don't want you haters coming at me saying like, oh, this isn't right, this is inaccurate. It's not gonna be precise or on the dot. Go to your local beach and make sure you know all of your laws and regulations, because some places you're only allowed to collect 10 pounds and you don't want to get arrested for collecting free seaweed from the beach. The one I'm currently holding right now, this is the one I like to collect. Sometimes I just cut it off and leave the rest on the floor. This is my process: 2 buckets of clean water and a tomato cage to hang everything on afterwards. And what I'm mostly trying to get rid of is all the sand. You don't really got to trip about the salt because it's beneficial beneficial for your plants anyways. The sand has no beneficial value, so it's just gonna take up space, which I'd rather use for worm castings, bone meals, or any other amendments that will be benefiting my plants. Hang it up. I do want to show you guys how much sand came off on the first bucket. It may not seem like a lot, but it does add up. It's just dead weight and it stays there forever and it has no value. Just get rid of it. Sheesh, I remember when my mama first told me that. Nowadays, I go collecting these specifically. I cut them off, collect my bag, and I dip. These are easier to clean, dry, grind, and I like the final results a lot better. I put it on top of cardboard just so the excess water can drip off. Put them on a tray and then place them into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. But you will have to be checking up on it every 30 minutes. And I put an aluminum foil on top just to prevent them from charring up and burning. After about 3 hours, check up on it and the top layer should be dry and ready. Remove all of the dry seaweed into another container, and I recommend flipping it if you're doing a big pile like me because the bottom will still be wet. Once it's dry, it'll be very easy to tell because the color will change from a nice bright color to a dark color. Plus, you're gonna be able to easily crumble it up with your hands, put it in your blender and mix it up, and you'll get perfection. You don't really need to grind it up into a fine powder, but you can if you want. But honestly, this will decompose fast enough already. The next two seaweeds I probably wouldn't make again for various reasons. The first one reminds me of a thick leather belt, and the second one reminds me of chow mein that you get at those Chinese shops where they overstuff the plate and they even gotta put tape over it. Not only did these take double the time to dry, but they also didn't grind right. They were a lot more tougher. This was the result for both of them. The first one's the one that looked like noodles, and the second one is the one that looked like a belt. And if you got time, what you could also do with a seaweed is put it on your roof or in a nice sunny spot, and you could just cut it up with some scissors and straight up use it as mulch. Number 4. This one's technically 4 and 5, charcoal and wood ash. For this one, you don't really gotta do anything. You just gotta grill and chill or make some s'mores on the campfire. All it is ash, the leftovers. You end up throwing it away or just leaving it there, so you might as well use it. All I gotta do is go to my grill, clean it up, and it's a 2-for-1 deal. And honestly, the craziest part is it's got 25 to 50% calcium. As soon as I found that out, I immediately stopped buying dolomite. It was just a waste of my money. Another thing you could do if you don't grill, you can also collect wood ash. I usually just go to my chimney, clean it up, and the amount of calcium that's gonna be in there is all gonna depend on the quality of the wood that you burned. That's why it could be anywhere from 25 to 50% because it's mostly gonna depend on the type of wood that you're using. Number 6 is coffee. If you drink coffee, this is gonna be the easiest thing ever. And if you got high pH water and soil, this is gonna help lower that because certain plants like flower, blueberries, strawberries do like a more acidic soil and water. So this will also be very beneficial, as well as this works as a bug or insect repellent too. I start off every morning with my cup of joe, and you do want to use it. You don't want to just put it in raw because it might be too strong for your plants. Once I'm done making my coffee, I grab them and I put them into a bigger container and use it as I need it. Since all of this is organic, you don't really have to worry about killing or harming your plant. They'll take what they need as they need it when they need it, unlike liquid nutrients where if you put too much, you can easily kill them. Number 7 is eggshells. If the wood ash ain't make you get rid of your dolomite, this will. It contains 95% calcium. That's almost 100%. There's nothing better than that. Just look at how clean it looks. As soon as I touched it, it made my hands look like I was eating powdery donuts. Honestly, I love everything about this. Just like all the other things, it's really easy to make. I like to collect a bucket or a bag full before I start this process. Put in a pot of boiling water for about 3 hours, and this is the lazy way to do it. If you're smart and got time, you can individually clean your eggshells as you use them, and you can skip this boiling water part. As it's boiling, you do want to remove all the foam. That's all of the leftover eggs that stayed in the eggshells. Once you're done, you'll end up with clear water, and you just want to rinse them one time just to make sure that they're clean and nothing got left behind. You'll end up with a nice, spotless, white, squeaky clean egg. It looks brand new. It even got a shine to it. If you look closely, you can see your face, I swear. Put them in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours. Before you hate and you're like, yeah, I do it for like 15 minutes and blah, blah, blah. I know everything. Well, sometimes I forget them in there and I leave them in a little bit longer. But yes, you can technically take them out as soon as they're dry and you're ready to go if you don't got time for that, you know? This is just the way I made these specifically. Take them out the oven, blend them, and nobody saw that egg yolk. And you'll end up with a nice, white, flawless, fish scale looking powder. Highest quality, I swear, it's fire. And you can even see a heart in the middle. That just means it was made with lots of love. Number 8, liquid eggshells. If you didn't know, the reason you would want to do something like this is because eggshells can take 3, I've even heard people say 10 years to decompose and turn into fertilizer. By that point, your plant isn't going to be using any of this nutrition, so if you're heavily relying on it, your plant's either going to be lacking it or it could possibly be dead. What you're going to want to use is the powder powderized eggshell layer. This is gonna be readily available for your roots and your plants, and they will instantly be able to absorb the nutrients right away. I'm gonna shake it up just so you can see the powder mixed in with the liquid, and it kind of has the oat milk kind of look. All of the eggshells are gonna stay at the bottom since they are heavier. This is gonna make it easier for you to pour it out and use it as you need it. All you're gonna need to do is vinegar and eggshells. I'm using equal parts, 1 cup of eggshells and 1 cup of vinegar. You could use more or less depending on what you have. Right away, you will start to see the chemical reaction. It will start to bubble up and the eggs will start to break down instantly. Let it sit there for 24 hours, and the next day you'll notice a layer of powderized eggshells that have been broken down. It honestly looks like a fine powder, almost like if it was flour. I like to put 2 shots into a 2-liter water bottle, and then I'll use it for any plant that I want. I'll also get 2 more shots of vinegar, dump it into the eggshells. That way it continues breaking down, and I'll have more for later. Number 9, mulch. This is the best. I try replicating straw mulch, that's why it kind of looks like that, but this is my favorite and the easiest way to make it. Mulch has tons of benefits. Apart from having lots of nitrogen, it could also turn into worm castings when worms eat it. It keeps your dirt cool, meaning you have to water it less. Quick commercial break just so you can enjoy my garden for a bit. Cherry tomatoes, big tomatoes, jalapenos, rosemary, blackberries, sungo tomatoes. All right, let's get it. I have a big tree in the front of my house that drops a lot of dead leaves and strawberry. All I have to do is come outside and collect them, and it's that easy. Honestly, you can use them as is, but I like to take it a step further. Go to my laboratory, I get my equipment, and I cut the tip of the leaf off, and then I start cutting it into small, thin lines, and there really is no need for this, but it just makes it look a lot better is what I think. That's why I like this method, because it's probably the easiest and fastest way of making mulch. You can also make it from living leaves. Use any type of leaves you want. I'm gonna be using kale, strawberry, tomatoes, and zucchini leaves. That's just what I got around my house, and if you cut grass, you can also use the grass clippings. Once you got a huge pile of leaves, cut it all up and put it in a nice sunny spot where it's gonna dry up quick. 24 hours later, it will look nice, crunchy, and the color will change. You don't really gotta dry it unless you're trying to save it for later. Otherwise, you can just put it directly on top of your soil and let it dry up on its own. Number 10 is tea grounds or used tea leaves, whatever you want to call it. I can't give you my whole recipe or else I'd have to red rum you. It's got lots of nitrogen, increases nutrient level, and improves soil quality as it decomposes. It also increases the level of activity of worms, meaning you'll get free worm castings as well as other beneficial microorganisms. It doesn't matter how you make your tea. I like to make cold infused tea, so what I'm gonna do right now is remove all the liquid and take out all the tea leaves. Honestly, this runs out really fast. If you guys want me to make a THC infused tea leaf drink, let me know. Comment that down below. That might be the next move. Honestly, I'm quite an expert. This is all my leftover tea leaves, and unless you're gonna use it directly onto the soil as mulch immediately, you do want to dry it up in the sun because it will mold up, and that way you can store it for however long you want. This should only take a full day in the sun, maybe even 2. Once it's dry, you can jar it up and save it for later. You can also grind it into a fine powder if you want to use it as nutrition or fertilizer. That way your worms and your microorganisms can start to consume it and make it readily available for your plants. Number 11, banana powder. And one thing you do want to make sure is that all of your products or bananas are organic, because you don't want to be adding pesticides to your plants unless you already do that anyways. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You won't need to buy it no more. It's all included. This looks like dirt, but it smells really good. Here are some nice fresh bananas, and just in case you're thinking about throwing them away for some average Joe to slip on, or just plain throwing them away to the trash, don't. Get all of your banana peels, put them into a pan, and then place them into the oven at 300 or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 3 to 4 hours. And you always want to do the crunch test. If you can crumble it in your hands like a potato chip, they're ready. Put them in the blender and mix it. You're gonna get some stuff that kind of looks like hay. You can remove it or keep it. All it is the top of the banana that connects them all together, and you've just unlocked your K, your potassium. Next, number 12, banana liquid. So the reason you would want to make it in liquid form rather than powder form is because anything in liquid form will be absorbed by your roots immediately. And for example, if your plant got 2 days to live and you put powder on it, it might take it a week to a full month for the powder to break down enough for your plant to be able to absorb it as nutrients. First thing you're gonna do is get your banana peels, make sure it's organic so you don't panic. You're gonna put them in a jar, and I recommend cutting them into little pieces. That way you're able to fit a lot more bananas in it. I'm gonna put 2 bananas every day, and all you gotta simply do is fill it up with water. Just make sure the water level is higher than the bananas, or else they'll turn black. As long as they're underwater, they'll stay nice and yellow for almost ever. A couple days later, you can already see the water turning a brown, yellowish color, and it smells really good. It smells like a nice, sweet banana scent. I added 2 more bananas and waited a few more days, and to be honest, you only really need 2 to 3 days for it to be ready, and then you can start using it. I'm gonna pour it into a cup just so you guys can see how potassium looking it looks. It looks nice and concentrated and ready to do some damage or anti-damage, ready to help out. I like to put 2 shots in a 2-liter water bottle, and then I'll give it to whatever plant I feel like needs it the most. Number 13, fish tank water. This got fish poo, pee. It's even a little green. That's micronutrients that your roots will instantly be able to absorb. I know a lot of you guys might not have a fish tank with fish, but if you do it, it's a free and the easiest way to get nutrients. This is my fish tank. It's looking nice and dirty and green. There's nothing I like seeing more. They deserve clean water, but it's the best for my plants. At the bottom, you can clearly see the poop, leftover food, maybe even dead fish. It's all there and ready to be collected. As I'm cleaning it, I'm mostly gonna try getting everything stuck in between the sands. It's a lot easier to see how dirty it is from the top view. It looks green, dusty. You can't even see the fish swimming around. This is how your bucket should look. Your water should look all dirty with specks going all over the place, foggy. You can't even see through it. It looks all kind of dark and black and gray and nasty. But everything at the bottom's where it's at. All you want to do is mix it around and then put a water bottle or whatever container you're gonna use and water your plants. Whatever plant you want to hook up. Number 14, and it's not liquid compost, it's actually compost. I've done a video on how to make a whole little composter. It's really simple, and believe it or not, you can fit a whole lot in there without taking up so much space. If you don't know, I'm gonna show you how to layer it up. I'm gonna start off with a pile of dead leaves that I've collected. Second, I'm gonna add cardboard, and I got this from the dividers of a 24 pack. I know some of you guys know exactly what this is, and then I just cut it up into little pieces and put it on top. Next, I'm gonna be adding a pile of kale or just green leaves in general. Make sure you cut it all up just so you can fit a lot more in there. After that, you can use it as a normal compost and add all your scraps of food like fruits, veggies. I added strawberries, tomatoes, bananas, oranges, grapes, eggshells, carrots, peppers, whatever you want that's compostable. Put a light amount of dirt on it, just enough to cover the food, not a lot, and this is gonna prevent it from smelling. Then you're gonna continue to repeat the cycle: dead leaves, cardboard, green leaves, and then your compost, fruits, veggies, whatever. And I also didn't do this all in one day. I did it every 2 to 3 days as I got the food scrap. And to be honest, you can fit at least 5 to 10 layers in here. It may look small, but it starts to lower as the days go by. On the first bin that's holding all the compost has nothing but holes all around it, and this is gonna allow all the worm castings to go through to the second bucket, which is gonna collect all the worm castings. This second bucket also has holes allowing the compost liquid juice to go through to the third bucket, and in the third bucket you'll be able to collect all the compost juice and be able to use it for your plants as well. Last but not least, number 15, liquid compost tea. If you look at it, you can tell it's a pretty dark green color, and if you look at it closely, it's my fault, I'm not aiming the camera right. You can see at the very bottom all of the leftover plant matter. Out of everything that I just made, this is probably the only one that actually smells bad. If you don't have this sealed up, you don't want to have it in your house. You want to have it outside somewhere where you can't smell it. This is gonna be completely free and super easy to make. Very concentrated, nitrogen rich fertilizer, just in case you don't got money to amend your plants. Just like the mulch, you can use any type of leaves that you want. I like to use kale because I have an unlimited supply of it. And for this, you don't want to use dead leaves. You want to use fresh green leaves that are alive. Once you've collected a large amount of leaves, fill up a container full of water. It could be as big or as small as you want. It just depends on how much you want to make. You're gonna put your pile of leaves into the water. 3 days later, you can already see it bubbling up. You can probably use it now. I'm gonna wait a full week. I'm also adding more leaves just to make it even more concentrated, and I gave it a little spin, and you can already see how dark green it already is. And this is already pure concentrated liquid nitrogen. But like I said, wait at least a week and make sure you have a cover on it just so you won't get flies, mosquitoes, maggots, tadpoles, or whatever you got going on in your environment. This you do want to measure out before you use it, because like I said earlier, liquids are absorbed by your roots immediately, so it can harm your plants if you don't dilute it or use it in small amounts. Alright everyone, it's a wrap. Just in case you're wondering how much to use exactly for every single one of these products, you only want to use 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon of soil. I like to put a shot, which equals 1 ounce, or 2 tablespoons tablespoons. Do this every month, and if a week or two pass and you want to hook it up with a little bit more bone meal, go for it, it's fine. But if you're trying to add all 15 fertilizers, you might want to wait the full month. Especially when it comes to liquid fertilizers, you do want to dose it right because your roots will immediately absorb all of that nutrition and you can possibly overdose it. Unless you know for a fact that your plant's deficient in magnesium, calcium, or potassium, then go for it. Don't be scared to hook it up with a shot or two more. It'll help it out and you'll notice the change within a day or less. As for the powder fertilizer, since it's organic, your plant will use it as it needs it. Plus, it's slow release, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. Let me know if you guys want to see longer videos like this one, or if you prefer them being fast, short, and sweet. This is just a test run. If you like it, I'll make them longer. If you don't, I'll keep them 5 to 10 minutes long. Bore everyone with a short attention span. I don't know. I'm fine with whatever. It's completely up to you guys. All right, everyone. So this is going to be the end of this video. If you learned anything or enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already so you can get notified every time I post. And as always, remember, be good people.